Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I want to focus on episode 20, and I really want to talk about some of the big things that happened in this episode, because, I mean, there was one big scene, obviously. There was a big death in this episode I really want to talk about. I want to talk about this character, what this character has meant, and I want to talk about, I guess, where that character would rank among other characters. I guess I'll be more specific once I get through this. But yeah, because this character honestly was such an incredible character. But anyways, before going any further, I guess I should warn you that this video will contain spoilers for episode 20. I don't know if I just said that or not. Also, make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. But let's actually talk about this now. So, like I was saying, the major death here was honestly shocking. I wasn't expecting it. Like, if it never happened before, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe they'll save it for the end, but it happened pretty much right away. And that is that Lance was the major death here. And so, with Lance's death, there's a lot of things that kind of get wrapped up out of nowhere, right? Like, Lance is gone. Lance's group, I guess, is gone. I mean, it's weird because Shira is somewhere out there, unless she died just sort of off screen. Like, I mean, that's the thing with where the show is at right now. Like, that literally could be an explanation. Like, the show has such a big cast, has such a big story, that certain things like that might just get ignored, right? Like if you think of Virgil, he's literally been ignored this entire time. Luke, where's Luke? So it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, unless Shira shows up during like the trial or something of Eugene and somehow helps him through that, I mean, I just kind of feel like at this point, she's probably done for. I don't know why we didn't see her or anything like that, but yeah, I don't know. It's just, this is why I'm going to really like the spinoffs, to be honest. And this is kind of why I prefer them to end the show here and then go and do the spinoffs, because the story's just so big right now. There's so many characters that you can't really, like, realistically kill off so many characters because the story is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And obviously a lot of characters people find as like fan favorites, but if you ignore them, people are going to have issues with it. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you know what? If you end the story here, you take the core characters like Rick, Michonne, Negan, Maggie, and Daryl, and eventually Carol will be there. You just take those 6 characters and then you do a newer story with them, but sort of have it connected as well. It makes it a lot more simpler and I think a lot more enjoyable. And this way, weirdly, the stakes are higher. Also, we get a lot more time with them, right? So I'm really excited for the spinoffs for that specific reason, because Negan is such a big character on the show. Like, he's such a fan favorite, but it feels like we don't get a lot of scenes of him on the show. But in his spinoff coming out next April, man, he's going to be there in every episode, obviously, and he's going to be a huge part of each episode. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Going back to what I was saying about Lance, I really like this character quite a bit. The comic character really was nothing. Like, I feel like he had one scene, maybe a couple of scenes afterwards, and that was it. He was sort of Pamela's right-hand man, and that was basically it, to be honest. Like, he brought our characters, I guess, to the Commonwealth. If that was him, actually. I don't remember if that was him, but he barely played a role. Like, he really wasn't who this character is right now. And I really think that the actor who played Lance Hornsby, I don't know his name, so I apologize, but he did such a great job with this character. And I think what I like the most about Lance is the fact that he really believed the things that he was saying. Like, Angela Kane talked about this in the episode Insider. Like, there's literally a scene, where he's talking with Carol, saying all this stuff, and he's literally saying, I hope Daryl's okay, this and that. Carol's looking at him like, okay, I know you're lying. I know you're just trying to get on my side here. But no, Lance actually does believe that. He actually does hope that Daryl's going to be okay, which is like almost unsettling, I feel like, for a lot of our characters, just because, like, he's supposed to be this villain. And with previous villains, we sort of understood just where they stand, right? I mean, look at Alpha. There's no way a scene with Alpha and Carol could take place like that, where they're kind of working together. But Lance had a lot of scenes like that with our characters, where Lance was just working with our characters. And he wasn't trying to lie to get out of the situation. He actually believed in what he was saying. And that's the crazy thing about Lance. Honestly, I think if they never killed him there, and somehow they deal with whatever they're dealing with this train and this camp storyline, I feel like in the end, if they take the Milton family down, Lance would actually be on their side. Like, I really feel like Lance was just trying to please Pamela Milton so much to the point where he just kind of lost himself. And I still think he has those elements there. But, like, no lie, I really feel like if we went back to the Commonwealth, Pamela Milton was taken down and there was new leadership there, I think Lance Hornsby would follow along and he would actually be on their side. Now, there would definitely be issues there in terms of trying to trust him. So I totally get, why Daryl and Carol had to do what they did. But that just, I think, shows how complex of a villain Lance is, because he's definitely a villain for sure. but he's also like, he's totally relatable and understandable. Like, you understand that, right? Which is why, and I actually mentioned it in my review. I said that Carol, kind of felt really bad for doing what they did to Lance, right? Because she knew that they had to kill him and she kind of felt bad. But Angela Kang actually talks about it in the episode Insider. She actually says that it wasn't just Carol. Daryl also felt bad. Like, they didn't want to kill him, but they were sort of forced to because they knew what he was capable of and they knew what he was going to do. They just couldn't trust him, which I think is crazy, when you consider the fact that in previous years, even going back to season 2, like, they didn't want to kill Randall then, right? Like, there was this whole debate. I mean, I guess a lot of characters were okay with it, but there was a whole debate back then. And now we're at the point where it's like, no, sorry, we don't trust you. You're done, right? I mean, I'm not going to say that Lance is equivalent to Randall because Lance has literally killed so many people. Randall, I don't think he really did. He was just with another group and there was some paranoia there, with that group potentially coming back to the farm. So it was a little different, but still, I just think that Lance, he was just an incredible character on the show. He really made the Commonwealth arc a lot more exciting. I will say that. If it wasn't for him, I don't know if some of these episodes would be that enjoyable, but there's been a lot of stuff there. There's been a lot of cryptic things that he said that really teased the Civic Republic, and he was just a really fun character. I think his death scene was done so well. I love the fact that it was done at nighttime. It was very dark. It was very eerie and creepy, and it just seemed like our characters just really, at this point in their stories, they're really willing to do whatever the hell they have to do to survive now and to win, right? And to make sure everyone's fine. And it was just kind of crazy. I think the music in this scene, honestly, the music really, for The Walking Dead, just in the last, I mean, really this season, I guess, I really have noticed it this season. I mean, I technically really noticed it since Angela Kang took over. The music has been really amazing. It's been iconic. Think of the Whisperer Pike scene, right? Think of some of Rick's final episodes. Like, things have felt a lot more cinematic, and Lance's death scene here definitely contributed to that as well. Like, it was just really, really well done. And yeah, just the way he dies. I mean, Carol's the one to kill him, which I feel like a lot of us predicted a long time ago. And usually predictions like that are never right. Usually we pick one character that it just makes sense that one character would kill that one villain, sort of thing. And it never ends up being the case, like literally ever. It always ends up being some random other character, which doesn't make too much sense. But in this case, it actually was that. So that's kind of cool here. And so, yeah, Lance, I mean, I thought the scene was really incredible. Where he would rank, in terms of the all-time villains on this show, it's very hard to say, because I think the one thing that has always sort of messed with me with a lot of this is the legacy of certain characters, right? Because if you look at Negan, if you look at the governor, or I guess you could include Shane, like, there's a legacy built there, right? And people look back on them as like, wow, these were like really incredible villains. But I'm going to say, when you go back to the governor arc, like when people were watching it back then, he was an awesome villain, but I'm going to say, like, he wasn't as like legendary or like as epic as he is to today. Like, back then, honestly, some of the stuff in season 3 was kind of boring. And then eventually over time, after we got a bunch of other villains, we look back at that character now and we're like, damn, he was such an iconic villain, but it wasn't really known then, right? The only character really where it really felt special, I would say was Negan, to be honest. That's why I think he's probably my favorite villain. I know I was saying before that Alpha, I think, was. And I think Alpha during season 9 kind of was a little bit because, the Whisperer Pike scene was amazing. A lot of that craziness there with the Whisperers was just so fun, so exciting, and just waiting for Beta's reveal as well was just so cool. So I think that's why when I look at Alpha, I think a lot of the stuff that we got in season 9 was just so iconic. But in season 10, she just never wore her mask ever. So I think that's why she sort of, it drops a little bit for me. Because the one thing with your villains is they kind of have to look cool, right? Like, Negan has the baseball bat and like the red scarf, the leather jacket. The governor has that awesome jacket with the eye patch and his hair is kind of a little bit longer at that point. Alpha had like the badass Whisperer mask, but she never wore it a lot later on. So it was kind of hard to, Lance never really, I don't know. Again, I don't know where he would rank among all those villains. I really have no idea. That's why I don't really necessarily want to rank him right now. But I just want to say that he was a really great villain. I actually really liked the fact that he was on the show. And now that he's gone, I mean, there's a lot of questions that remain, like what happened to Oceanside? It's so weird that they're holding off on that. Like, I wonder if when they finally reveal what happened to Oceanside, if it's going to make sense why they held off on it, because it's just so weird that we're not getting anything yet. Like, I feel like there should have been some information that has come out already. Like, I'm not expecting anything crazy there, to be honest. I'm kind of expecting just some characters to be dead, and maybe half of them are at that community, right? I'm not expecting a lot of crazy stuff there, and I don't know how it's going to contribute overall to the ending here. So that's why I'm confused. Like, why are they holding off on all this stuff? Unless Lance is using that place, or I guess was using it for something. I don't know. It's just weird that they're really holding off on that Oceanside reveal, and it's just, yeah, I'm really wondering why. But yeah, now that Lance is gone, the only villain really is Pamela Milton, and that's just sort of what happens with her. Does she die here at the end? I'm going to say no. I actually don't think Pamela Milton is going to die. I feel like if she was to die, it would just be a little too much. I honestly feel like her story here is basically going to be Sebastian's story. I think she'll probably, and I'm not saying it fully, I'm not saying that she's going to end up killing someone, this and that, but I feel like she'll probably get his storyline at the very end where, you know, because she was sending people away to maybe the Civic Republic and basically disappearing people, I think she'll end up in a cell for that, basically. And I think that's sort of the end of her story here. And she loses all of her power that she had. And then just, yeah, I don't know. I will say, though, after watching episode 20, I'm fully convinced that Yumiko, I think, could be the next leader. She was really taking charge there. Some of those scenes there, like with just her and Pamela Milton, oh man. Some of those scenes there with just her and Pamela Milton, man, she is such a powerful character. She's a really great character, and like, I can totally see her leading this place and actually doing it really well. Like, she's definitely going to be the judge character, you know, at the end of the Walking Dead comics. Michonne, who was a lawyer, eventually becomes a judge. I totally see Yumiko being that. It just makes so much sense with this character, and if she is a judge here, I can see her making new rules, new laws, and eventually becoming the leader of this place. I just think it fits that character so well because, like, man, maybe it's the actress, I'm not entirely sure, but I really love those scenes there. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below on Lance as a villain. What did you think of his death scene? And what do you think of the character overall? Do you think he was worthy of having on the show? Or are you happy that he's gone off the show? I don't know. Definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.